Hello, everyone. It is your girl, Jeanette the Oracle. Welcome, welcome. Let me get this set up the way I prefer. Happy Jupiter entering Taurus today. I am really looking forward to this channeling. There's so much happening this month in terms of the astrology. We've just come out of eclipse season. Mercury just went direct. We now have Jupiter going, ingressing or transitioning into Taurus, which is what we're going to speak about today. And then we do have the new moon in Taurus happening later this week. So there's a lot of energy in Taurus. Of course, the North Node is still in Taurus in the last few degrees. I believe right now it's at 3 degrees of Taurus. So definitely keep that in mind if you have any placements around there. Jupiter, of course, will eventually be conjuncting the North Node. Let me actually give you a range of dates. I mean, you can think of it as a loose conjunction right now. So amplifying the opportunities and blessings that the North Node is bringing. But let's see. Jupiter. So we'll have an exact conjunction, like right at the 3 degrees at the end of this month. So basically, 30th, 31st, and then like the first couple of days of June. So essentially the week of May 29th, that is the week where we'll have that exact conjunction, but honestly, you'll be feeling it or possibly be feeling it now. Anyway, as you come in, definitely, of course, comment in the chat box and let me know where you are joining from. You might be sipping on, if anything. Let me know how you are feeling, any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, etc. about this transit. Let me know. I do not have any tea right now. I have some water. And it is like a kind of overcast day, so it's not as sunny here in Southern California, where I am joining you from. But anyway, love to all of you who are joining me either live or will be watching the recording. If you would like to donate to this work, the information for my PayPal is at the bottom of the screen, scrolling down. I definitely appreciate that. But this message is, like I said, going to be specifically for the transit of Jupiter in Taurus. Jupiter takes approximately I say, because all the planets don't orbit around the sun in a perfect circle. It's a little bit oblique, but so sometimes they'll spend a little bit longer in signs versus in a shorter time in other signs just because of that. But in general, we'll just say Jupiter takes about a year or 12 months to go through the sign. So we are beginning today this journey from this point for a year ahead of Jupiter in the sign of Taurus. Now, Taurus is something that, as a zodiac archetype, is something that is a focus for a lot of us right now in the state of things. To be honest, I feel like we've been dealing with a lot of Taurus-related stuff anyway because of the pandemic. But Taurus relates to our health, our physical body, and like all the earth signs, really, earth elements. So health, physical body, money, of course, and finances. So that's going to be a big thing. And of course, it's very much top of mind for folks because we are basically in a recession, even though folks don't want to, and officials don't want to like say it, but we're essentially navigating a recession. At this point in time, we have the writer strike happening. There may possibly be other strikes happening in Hollywood with the directors, possibly with the actors, potentially, depending on how things go with the negotiations for the contracts. But also Taurus has to deal with our wants and our desires and our values. So what is it that you really want? What brings you pleasure, right? Taurus is a Venus rule sign. What brings you pleasure? What do you want? And what is in alignment with your personal values, your ethics, your morals? What are you 10 toes down on? that in a lot of ways is what Taurus is about and offers us to explore. So, you can keep all of those things in mind. Um, Taurus, as with all earth signs, but we'll stick with Taurus. Taurus is really asking us to consider what is a good life? What does it mean for us to have a good life? And that's going to be different things for different people. And that's why that what do I want? That's where that comes in. So this is very kind of root chakra and sacral chakra energy. It's like a blend of the two. Root chakra energy would be the Aries energy. It's like that I exist, I am, I'm here kind of thing, right? And Taurus rises up to that sacral chakra and it's like, okay, I'm here, I exist. What do I really want? What's a good life for me? What are my values? What do I want to cultivate? Now, as an earth sign, very different energy compared to the fire sign of Aries because it's the slowest moving energy. Now, slow does not mean bad. Slow does not mean less than. It just means a different cycle, a different timing. So, Taurus is not about quick fix. It's about, again, what is valuable in any of those contexts that we talked about, and what can you actually stick with over the long term? Because when the bull, Taurus the bull, says yes and commits to something, it is in that thing and stays committed to that thing to the end. And it takes a lot to break away from that. It takes a lot to say no to that. And I tell this to Taurus and Scorpio energy as well, but especially Taurus. It's like there's a high tolerance, for better for worse, but there's a high tolerance for stress, for anxiety, for potentially not getting your needs met because you're like, you value hard work, you value your yes, you value your commitment, right? Taurus is associated with the Hierophant card in tarot. So you don't take those things lightly. So um, you don't say yes lightly, although you may say yes quickly because you see the potential of what's there and where things can go, right? So that's possibly where you could say yes quickly, but you don't necessarily say yes quickly. You're really going to consider things. But because you don't do that, frivolously, you also don't back out of things frivolously. And I say that's a bittersweet thing or a double-edged sword because, again, if you're not careful, you can commit yourself to things that really will trap you. And so, what I tend to tell my Taurus sun sign clients, or if they have like strong Taurus placements, that they need to front load their expectations, if you will. They need to front load their desires. They need to, in advance, really be clear and hash out the boundaries, what they want, what they need, like all the little things as much as they can, as much as possible. Again, and regardless of context, before they say yes. Because once they say yes, it is so, so hard to move out of that thing that they've said yes to, that relationship, that job, that opportunity, because just like, well, there's an understanding, and this is the maturity and the beauty that earth energy brings, that, hard work is going to be a part of the process. A little bit of suffering potentially is going to be a part of the process. It's not going to be all roses. It's not going to be all pleasure all the time. There's going to be some tough times there. So they perceive and see tough times, obstacles, potentially disrespect, boundary crossing as just things that they have to push through or endure because it's not lasting, it's just a part of the process, right? And there is deep wisdom in that because, yes, that is true. But again, how much of that are you going to endure? Like, at what point is it just a part of the process versus what part is actually suffering for you, is actually disrespectful to you, is actually you being out of alignment with what's appropriate for you because you won't speak up, you won't advocate for yourself because you in your mind have kept yourself locked in, well, I said yes to that back there, And so I, for whatever reason, don't have the right to make changes to that thing. And that's an interesting, mindset to have. And, yes, of course, that can be rooted in trauma and things from the past. But I also think it's an interesting thing about not wanting to shift out of what you said yes to, because again, as an earth energy, you understand the power of the seed and the original thing. And you know that until you've completed the thing, until you've actually seen the fruit, if you shift or move anything out of the way of what that original seed was, right? Whatever that original yes was, you might not actually get the harvest. You might not actually get the fruit that you're supposed to because you didn't stick with it, right? And so it's like that also is there within the archetype. So it's a really interesting and tricky dance. And I'm deeply appreciative of this transit now that we have with Jupiter coming back in, because Jupiter, like Saturn, is one of our master teachers. And Jupiter is going to ask you to consider these considerations, these innate wisdom aspects that Taurus brings to our life as it relates to those things of the physical world. Again, our health, our physical body, how we value ourselves, our sense of self-esteem, the things that are important to us, what we want, and yes, money. Yeah. So let me know if that's resonating with you, if that's vibing with you. Let me say hi real quick before I go deeper. Hello to, I think that's Grace Anderson in Chicago. Welcome, Chicago, in the house, drinking iced coffee. I love it. Now I have to ask, because now I'm a coffee person in addition to a tea person. Are you a light roast, medium roast, or dark roast person? Dark roast slash French roast. Overflows in the house. Hello, everyone. Hi, Jeanette. Hello. Thank you for spelling my name correctly, because folks still be spelling my name wrong. Thank you. It's two N's, people. Watching from Houston in the house. Okay, Midwest is here today. Iced espresso, very nice, with homemade rose, jasmine, rosemary, honey syrup, and water. Ooh, nice. I love the homemade honey syrups. That's awesome. Very, very nice. Thank you for sharing. Let's see, we have Edna watching from the UK. Okay, good evening to you. Coconut water. I love me some coconut water. Thank you for joining. We have Nicole in the house. Greetings. That's East Coast, unless you're traveling, but hello, East Coast. Totally vibing. I'm a Taurus moon. Okay, so you get it. Listen, I have a Virgo stellium, so I get this, but Taurus energy is still a different vibe. Let's see, I'm a dark roast all day, especially for iced coffee. Come through, Grace. Come through. Yes. This is a dark roast, French roast channel. All roasts do not matter over here. So I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see it. Yes. Awesome. Cool. So let's get in. So we'll first start with we'll settle into the energy, and I think I actually will. Yeah, I'm just checking in to confirm, because I was getting to do planetary council. So this should be interesting. Definitely resonate with everything you said. What do I want is all I'm on right now. If it doesn't align, I decline. I love it. If it doesn't align, I decline. I love it. So yeah, I'll do planetary council, and specifically, looks like we'll be focusing on health and money, because it looks like health stuff is really going to be coming up for some reason. Or it's been there and there'll need to be guidance. All right, so we'll see. I'm gonna switch back, so I'll circle back to look at comments in a second. All right, so sit up nice and tall. Take a few deep breaths, settling in. And closing your eyes, or you can keep your eyes open and pick a spot on the floor several feet in front of you to keep the focus. Either way works, does not matter. If you're someone who has difficulty keeping your mind steady, have your eyes open, and that will actually help. And now slow down your breathing in such a way that your inhale is equal to your exhale. Allow there to be a balanced exchange between you and life in this moment. Understanding and knowing that as you breathe in, you are literally breathing in life force. And this breath, this air is fanning the flame of your spirit, the spirit that is animating all of your cells, all of your organs, all the fluids in your body, tendons and tissue. Every inhale flares the fire of your spirit, the light, the luminescence, if you will, of your spirit brighter. But instead of the exhale being something that diminishes that luminescence, let that exhale be one that maintains the luminescence. And feel how this steps up the fullness of your experience of yourself, of your own spirit, of your own energy. And in this space, we give thanks, honor, and gratitude to our own spirit, which is literally a fractal, a portion of the great spirit, the great essence that is life itself. We exist in our humanity because of our spirit, and our spirit exists in its individuation because of great spirit of God, of universe. And we ask that our spirits bring our minds, our emotions, our will, our body, our heart into perfect energetic coherence with it, perfect harmony, releasing any and all obstacles, whether unconscious, subconscious, or conscious, within us, or any external obstacles that would prevent this coherence, this harmony. We ask that our spirit activate our crystalline nature so that the prism of our soul can shine the light, the luminosity of our spirit unencumbered. Continuing to breathe. And know that in this space, you are in the center of your universe. And the you that exists as your personality is born out of the relationship between your spirit and the world around you. And so, in this moment, as well as moving forward, allow yourself the adaptability to express and experience all the colors that your spirit has available. We're still going to be here for a little bit. There's a lot of adjustments happening, but I want to check in as folks are doing. So let me know if anything is coming up that you need to share or have questions about. But there's a lot of reorientation, it feels like, is happening, which is good. So at this time, we also call in the power and the presence of the spirits of the elements, spirits of the directions, our beneficial and elevated ancestors, our spiritual guides, our spiritual healers, our spiritual protectors, our guardian angels, as well as archangels Raphael, Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, Zadkiel, and Zaphkiel, and Metatron, to all join in the creation of a sacred container for our healing and our protection, a container for each of us individually. And please provide each of us with the balance and harmony and support that we need to continue to be in alignment with our own spirit, as well as to be receptive to the wisdom and the teachings that the Master Guru Jupiter has for us during its ingress or at its ingress into Taurus, the archetype of Taurus. Also raise our individual vibrational frequency so that we may attune to this planetary consciousness and be open to receive the messages that are for our highest and greatest good. The continued ascension of our soul consciousness, the continued healing and empowerment of our humanity. And where applicable, the fulfillment of the continued fulfillment of our divine assignment. As well as blessing those who have the gift of prophecy. That's coming through. So that's probably somebody here. Okay, so looks like this will have to potentially go in layers because there's opportunity for a lot of different types of messages. So we're going to start with the most immediate ones. Which is going to be health and money. So the opportunities that will be available for us to cultivate for this year ahead with Jupiter. So one quick note as we get into this is that, yes, Jupiter is a master teacher, and yes, Jupiter brings, Jupiter blings, Jupiter and Taurus blings. I know I've talked about this, or at least written about this in the past, about the difference between how Jupiter teaches us as master teacher versus how Saturn teaches as master teacher. So Jupiter teaches by providing options. And would kind of be like the, for lack of a better reference, because this is not it, but kind of like a Santa Claus character. It's like, here are all the things. And it's like, go try it, right? So it's not necessarily much in the way of actual restriction or actual boundaries. There can be guidance if you ask for it. But the thing that can be tough with Jupiter is all the options sound good, because there's actually benefit, or there can be benefit seen in all the options. All the options can work, right? But all opportunities, all options are not necessarily what's best for us, or is necessarily going to get us to the state or the place that we want. Um, and so, yeah, I think people miss that with Jupiter because it like feels good to sit with the Jupiterian energy. But then after a while, if you sit with that and you don't have this kind of like conscientiousness, then what happens is you start to feel resentful, because it's just like, okay, well, I'm getting everything that I want, but I'm not happy. Is the petty starting this early in the process? I haven't even gotten any cards out yet. Getting everything I want, but I'm not happy. Taurus doesn't do grind culture, right? But Taurus works hard when it does work, but it also plays hard and rests hard. So that's the thing to be mindful of with Jupiter. Okay. Ooh. So health message. And I'll show you the cards in a second. Now, also, a lot of this message today is really just going to be like just straight channeling, because it's coming through. So, um, there is agency that we have in creating the path forward. Okay, so this wisdom around Taurus, the archetypes that it represents, the opportunities or options that Jupiter will be presenting, whether that's like practically or through insight, new ideas, creative ideas, innovative ideas, etc. That is there as an opportunity for you to choose the path you want to walk down, as well as the conditions of the experience you want to have as you walk down that path. So, it's a planting seed energy, but it's for this looking ahead, it's less about what can be planted right now and more of based on what I want, what do I need to start doing to cultivate the environment, cultivate the soil so that the seed can grow in the best, the seed or seeds can grow in the best environment as possible down the road. Very much a delayed gratification thing rather than um, getting that dopamine hit in the here and now. And that may be easier for some folks and harder for other folks. So if you're more cardinal or immutable in your nature, in your natal chart, that might not be as easy or as fun because you want to see ROI, return on investment, happen faster or sooner. Really, you want to see ROI happening at the pace that you walk through life, at the pace that you shift and change, right? So it can be frustrating when things don't happen as quickly as you move. But then for the fixed sign folks who have like that energy predominantly, the other side of that is you can get too complacent and not make certain shifts to change your trajectory down the road. And so you can end up missing opportunities or blessings that are coming up because you're actually not prepared for them, because you're not thinking ahead, because you're too focused on what's happening here and now. Yep. Okay. But to health. So first card art we have is the High Priestess, Emperor, Queen of Pentacles, Lovers, Three of Cups, and bottom of the deck is Eight of Cups. Let me get some water. Oh, that was the message. I'm looking at the cards. I'm like, oh, wait. That literally was the message. Okay. Well, there's that. So as it relates to health matters, depending on which of those groups I just talked about. So the cardinal mutable folks. So either sun sign there, you just have a lot of planets there, so you lean heavily to those directions versus the fixed sign energy. Those are things to keep mindful of in terms of the experience that you want to have or transformation that you want to have in your health. And none of the stuff around your health and wellness is big stuff. It's all really more mundane, subtle things. So I'm not picking up any energy about like any major health crises. I'm not picking up anything about like, major surgeries or like big stuff like that. If any of that stuff happens, it most likely was already being planned and in the works before this transit happens or happens. Is happening now. So that will be fine. In general, like I'm not seeing anything about that. No random illnesses or big things coming up. So there's a nice, protection for health, as long as essentially you drill down to the basics. Now, there also may be a situation where you intuitively know that something's off and have known that it's been off for a while. Um, and might not necessarily have known how to shift things, or what you have been doing to shift things hasn't been giving you the results that you want. So that's been making you frustrated. But listen to the wisdom of the medical professionals that you are working with. Because it looks like it's a simple fix. Um, okay. Yeah, so there's a message here about not trying to figure things out on your own, work in collaboration, because it will be a simple adjustment and it'll make a world of a difference. So take emotion out of it if emotion is getting up in the way. But okay. Any questions on that before I move on to wealth? Well, specifically money and finances. I'm gonna pull different cards for that. Let me see anything else as you guys type, if there's anything that comes up for you. Hello to folks who are in. Thank you for joining. Um, yeah, watch the stubbornness. If that last batch of messages resonated, like watch the stubbornness. And I get it because I'm stubborn too, because I stay frustrated um, with the state of healthcare in this country. However, um, there's still people who know what they're doing. So, okay. All right. So I don't see any questions. So let me get a message about money and finances, because I know that is definitely something we are thinking about. Okay, so cards are Justice card, Princess of Cups, Four of Pentacles, Nine of Wands, Ten of Cups. And bottom of the deck, we have Four of Wands. So this Justice card is telling me that a lot of balancing is still going to be occurring over this next year. So I'm not surprised by that. And it's balancing across the board. So on a, am I going to speak on a larger scale or just keep it personal? I'm going to keep it personal for this. Well, I'll get into larger stuff later. But balancing in the finances. So that's definitely going to mean different things for different people. So because Justice talks about, it can reference the law, government, things like that. So not necessarily that you would have issues with anything, but this might be a time where you are more proactive in resolving certain things or tying up loose ends or what have you. But there will be a shift if there needs to be a shift in that regard. Overall, though, with this Four of Pentacles and this Nine of Wands, this is feeling like keep or remain conservative, because we actually have double four. Remain conservative with your resources, which really just means stay within your budget. Like this isn't a time of excess, even with the Ten of Cups here. But this Ten of Cups with the Justice card is giving me a sense of like this a period of adjustment really is ongoing and it will continue, but essentially it is it seems to be in that the last legs of whatever the adjustment is. And we are in a new place with the Princess of Cups, but that is just a princess, right? So it's at the beginning stages of the journey of going to knight to king, king and queen, etc. But we are actually where we're supposed to be. Like we did the work to get there, and that's a really good place. So we don't want to actually backtrack right now. Sorry, this mascara is not being nice. But there's also this message here still around the perspective of the perspective that you need to have around we need to have around how you want to build your money and what kind of money you want to have, and to really think about that in a grounded way. And by grounded, I mean like long-term way. It will take time for you to get what you want. And you've already done actually the first leg of the journey. So, stay consistent with that. So it's not the time to be risky with that Nine of Wands, because the Nine of Wands is about perseverance and defending. It is also a power card, but it's like hold steady. Again, not because necessarily there's like anything bad that's going to happen, but the risks won't necessarily pay off. So if you want to risk with that which you actually have wiggle room to lose potentially if something doesn't work out. So it's not that you can't try or keep pushing forward, but when it comes to your own resources, be conservative with that. Which may just mean different tactics for other things. Something else that's coming up, which is interesting, is I'm being reminded of with this Princess of Cups and the Ten of Cups. Maybe reevaluating what it is that you want as it relates to your money and finances based off of what you really need when you look at your numbers, one, and two, what's required of having the more. Because sometimes we can be so enamored by the Ten of Cups that we don't realize the responsibility associated with it. And that, that Four of Pentacles also talks about that. Not that you or I are not capable of it, but also considering that in your desires and in your pursuits. Interesting. Questions about this? Hello, hello. Welcome to, let's see, Kim. Thank you for joining. Let us know where you are joining us from, Kim, and if you're sipping on anything. Patience is a theme and a struggle, as usual, being an air sign. Listen, I know. Trust, I know. I have a lot of air. I'm a cardinal sign, but also have a lot of mutable energy. So it's not it's not a thing for me. So not patient. I'm better than I have been. Definitely better than I have been, but this is definitely it's a beneficial struggle. It's not like, suffering struggle. But I can laugh at myself because oh goodness. Like it just doesn't happen at the speed of my thought. um let's see, anything else with this? I feel like there's one more message. Okay, so it's seeming like to bring all that together, the message that's coming through to integrate that is ultimately for this year ahead, what you really want to ask yourself is, what can I be 10 toes down on as it relates to my money and my finances? So, the money that I make, what I might be saving, what I might be choosing to invest, how I might be deciding to pay down debt. Like, what are you going to be 10 toes down on that you will stick with and persevere with over this next year as it supports and relates to what it is that you want? Hello, Ashley. Welcome, welcome. From Florida. Oh, I'm from Florida. Yay. Blessings to you for still being in Florida, because Lord knows. But yay, mushroom coffee. And hello, Ashley. Drinking water in ATL. Got more East Coast folks. Awesome. Okay. All right. So I think that's it. If there's no questions about this for yourself, then we will move on. And we'll talk about more societal things, societal and world things as it relates to Taurus that Jupiter will share. Any questions? Going once, going twice. So that question is what are you going to be 10 toes down for is actually what will help you make that transition from help you, us, I say you, but I'm talking about us. Help you make the transition from the Princess of Cups energy, which is the apprentice, the beginning stage of this new place financially, to go from that princess to the knight, which is the adept. So it's kind of, thank you, Spirit. It's kind of like when you have to pick your major. Or like if you, in high school, if you're like freshman year of high school, which would be the princess energy, and you're heading into sophomore year, and the discussion is starting to happen about, you know, the PSAT, SAT, ACT stuff, you know, potentially what college you want to go to, what do you want to do with your life? Like that's starting to pop up, right? So that's kind of what I'm picking up with this is like, okay, what are you going to be 10 toes down on? Because you're good, you're solid, but in order to get to that next level, you got to buckle down. You got to do that Four of Pentacles thing. And it's going to feel like, potentially, depending on your personality, it's going to feel like a restriction. It's going to feel like you're doing less. But what it is a consolidation of your focus and attention over the next year in order to make that progress so that you can end up at the state of Knight of Pentacles by the time you head out. And when you're at the Knight of Pentacles, then things are really going and you have a lot more economic power. Oh, no worries. Have a good client session. Yes. Yeah, Florida, the struggles we're on. Listen, I left at this point it's 16 years this year. And I rarely go back just to visit family, but I can't. It's wild to me that it's actually gotten worse from when I was there. And I'm just like, what is happening? Okay. So, all right, I'm going to switch the channel. I'm going to ask my guides to switch my contact now to a different angel giving guidance around society and the world. As it relates to these Taurus archetypes. So this is going to be more about the things that are really happening around us that we don't have a direct, immediate control over, but that will definitely be influencing us in our own lives. And that can be mindful to, yeah. Okay. So let's look at society. So this is going to be I want to say US specific, but I feel like Western world, or at least US, UK energy might be the thing, just because the energies, the spirits of these governmental bodies and societies are similar. Um, 1 second. This is going to be a different spread, so I'm being told like what each card is going to be representing. Okay. I think we are good. What's this last card? There's a interesting energy for so I'll be getting messages for government, federal government level infrastructure. So it's going to be like practical infrastructure, so like highways, things that are related to the material structure of cities, and things that connect cities. So, and then agriculture as well, telecommunications stuff. Housing market slash real estate, housing market, real estate, media, entertainment. And then health. I think that media entertainment should also include then culture. Because I think the last thing I'm supposed to touch on is international relations, and specifically, oh, that might be why it's tough. So, okay, so I'm gonna have to keep this to US then, so that it'll be easier because I can't. That's why wasn't clear. So I'm going to keep it to US. So sorry for the folks who are not US folks, but I'm sure y'all will come up anybody else will come up in the world stuff. So, okay. Now that that's clear. This is an 8-year for me. I'm expecting an overflow of cash. I'm also life path 8. Yeah, that's awesome. And the message still, about that 4 of Pentacles is the same. Build up. It's essentially like, just basic good financial behaviors. So as you make money, first thing you do, or one of the first things you do is put money aside for savings. And that's going to be personal side, so emergency savings, but also for your business or businesses, liquidity is important, right? And having liquidity that will last a while, so longer than just a month or two, right? Because if things happen, you want to be able to have your reserves for yourself or your business or businesses reserves be able to float you, your employees, etc., for a while. And one of the things that is very much seen, especially in the VC world, is that is not the case. As well as like a lot of public companies, they do not actually have that liquidity to support themselves. So one of the reasons why we're seeing not all, but one of the reasons why we're seeing all these layoffs, because they're not actually being good stewards of the exorbitant amount of wealth that they have, right? They are prioritizing risk before Taurus, right? They're prioritizing Taurus versus the risky energy of a fire sign. But anyway, all that to say, yes, all the money, and also be a good steward of the money so you can continue to multiply it, because there's more in the multiplication than in the adding. Okay. We will not take that. So much energy. All right, so let's see what's going on with the US. The Tings. So this will be more on the predictive side, in quotes, and I say in quotes because this is more about getting a read on the trajectory that's already in place. Because when we look at things on a larger scale, they definitely have a lot more moving pieces and take a lot longer to shift and change. So first off, for the government energy, we have the Princess of Wands. And again, it's going to be federal government level. Oh, that's a surprise to me. We will have a presidential election coming up, because that princess is all about new energy. So a new cycle is on the way, which we do know. With it being wands, it will be fiery, it will be contentious. Again, that should not be a surprise. Next up, for the infrastructure, 9 of Cups. Telecoms, 10 of Pentacles. Housing market, 7 of Cups. Media, entertainment, and culture, Death card. Lots of transformation. Yeah. What was the last one? Oh, health. So this is going to be medical, health industry, medical industry kind of thing. Tower. Five of Cups at the bottom. Shaky international relations. They're already shaky, so we'll get to the world energy after this. But okay, so yeah, presidential election coming in. It looks like though with this Princess of Wand, there may be somebody who pops up that is new to the game that comes through. So on the Republican side of things, this would probably be DeSantis or another candidate that comes through. I won't go with the gender of this card to assume that there's going to be a woman that pops up, but just, just new energy, newcomer. So it could be DeSantis coming up as a major contender, or even possibly getting the election, at least coming into the primaries as a strong contender, because it's only for the year ahead, so it's not going to be covering to next year, but that very much could be front and center over this next year. Or somebody else coming up in the ranks on that side, as well as on the left, I will say. Not necessarily Democratic Party. Might be another party like the Green Party, but another person popping up on the left as well. So, and if that's the case, that's also going to be interesting because, yeah, but it's going to be contentious. We already know that, but it's really going to be about new energy that's coming up, whether we agree with the new energy or not, but it will be newness that pops up, new folks, new contenders coming up. For the infrastructure side of things, 9 of Cups. So in some ways, obviously the 9 of Cups is definitely on the beneficial side of things because it talks about, happiness, fulfillment. So, that bodes well for municipalities that have been staying on top of, maybe their building codes, earthquake codes, whatever codes, like, those folks will be doing well. But also the other thing with 9 of Cups, it is a Cups energy, it is water. So it could be a lot of flooding that predominates this year ahead, rather than like fires or earthquakes that are dominant. So if you do reside in a place that is prone to flooding, or you kind of already know that that's in the docket based off of how storms have been recently, like I'm over here in California and, we just had, I don't know how many atmospheric rivers and storms the first part of this year. Like, I don't know what was going on. Um, but yeah, so while it's great in a way for filling the reserves because we've also been dealing with drought, while it's been great for kind of combating the risk of fires, which are incredibly damaging and traumatic here. On the flip side, it also has a negative connotation because it means that there's a lot of snow packs in the mountains. And when those melt, it's going to spell floods, right? So I know like this is definitely going to be an issue for this state for the year ahead, and probably similarly wet winter like we had this year, early part of next year, which would be the tail end of the Jupiter cycle. But for folks who live, like in the Gulf states, along the coast, along rivers, um, just be mindful of that. It's nothing's going to be new, but it might be happening much more often and be more pervasive. And so just stay on top of that for sure. If you live in those regions, just to be safe. Yeah. Okay, so next, Ten of Pentacles. Let me come down and check the comments real quick. Do you trust the banks though? I don't know that I didn't have a specific like banking card here. We'll see if any of those messages come up during this portion. And then if not, it might come up in the world part. And then if it doesn't come up there, then I'll circle back around to it for sure. So Ten of Pentacles for the telecom space. So this is going to be traditional, news media. I would also put digital media technology, all that kind of stuff in here as well. They seem to be good. There might actually be some really important or key deals that pop up or that end up going through this year. Maybe BET might actually get sold. It's been like, in the works for a while. But yeah, they will be fine, which I'm actually curious about that because I know there's been just like so much kind of fear around the impact of AI on stuff, but it's actually looking good there, at least for those shareholders and the folks who are at the top, because we know how capitalism works. So those industries seem to be solid. The giants, in a way, still have things on lock, but there are also a lot of other options that are going to become more mid-size comparatively. So I like to see that because that means that there's a lot more variety popping up. But that's a very strong sector, telecom space. So we might actually also see a lot of innovation with Wi-Fi, fiber cables, like something about all of that, like it's going to be really strong. So if you're connected to those industries, good on you. Housing market, Seven of Cups. Now, Seven of Cups is a tough energy because it can talk about illusion, but also talks about having a lot of options. So that's very much a mixed bag. So on the one hand, okay, so I'm specifically hearing buyer's market. So if Well, if it's a buyer's market in general, that means then prices are more accessible to them, which usually means it's not going to be as great for sellers comparatively, because also just in general, prices have been high. But I've heard the phrase buyer's market, so at least it's shifting in that direction in the benefit of buyers. Um, Now, there's also this thing about, and this isn't new, but multiple properties being controlled or um, snatched up by an individual or individuals or um, groups, organization, corporations, because there might actually be a lot of properties on the market either through like foreclosure or what have you. But the illusion thing is the inflated pricing and value versus what is true. And so um, that's something to be mindful of. But regardless, it's still going to be buyer's market, or it'll start to tilt that way. So either that will be happening throughout the year, or by the time we get to the transit from Jupiter going into Gemini, that it will then shift to buyer's market. So I'm not quite sure on that part of the timing, but yeah. Yeah, it's a mixed bag. There's nothing's leaning one way or the other, because I'm like checking in on that, and it's nothing's leaning one way or the other. So it's really obviously going to be more localized to your area and what you're looking at doing as it relates to real estate in the housing market. For media, entertainment, and culture in general, we have the death card. So lots of transformation that has already been occurring. This will continue. It is it's a forced change and necessary change. So continuing to uproot, um, old ways of beings and shifting things and making transformation be front and center, whatever that is. Um, so this will also mean a lot more exploration in the media that we see, the entertainment that we do have, which I love because that's diversity in voices, diversity in expression, lots more experimentation, which is great. So a lot less, homogeneity. But culturally, like, yeah, still lots of transformation around the things that we have been rigid on across the board. So that will continue. And this is divine and this is healing because it's a major arcana card. Also, in the health sector, the tower, also a major arcana card. So this is necessary shifts and changes happening here. The tower is an abrupt shift, an abrupt change that does happen, that breaks some type of long-term cycle that's been in place. So in some way, shape, or form, that's actually going to be a place of destabilization, major shifts and changes that will occur. I'm not sure. I'm checking to see if this is like insurance companies or the actual like hospital system or what is happening. Well, tower is a liberation of some sort. Oh my God, it's almost 11:30. I'm about to try and wrap this up soon because I wasn't trying to be on here this long. What else is this tower specifically about? Just get a clarifying card. There's so many things that could be. It could be staffing. It could be policy. It might be something that is maybe related to hospitals and drug companies. Maybe regulations about those relationships. I don't know. It's something contentious. Like I'm trying to tap into that, and it feels like full warfare. So I'm just like, and the medical industrial complex here is definitely a lot. So there's a lot going on, but there's out of all the things, there is something that there will be some kind of breakdown to break through situation that occurs. It's nothing that is new. It's something that's already kind of been going on. I just can't feel into what it is because the energy is so contentious. So I'm gonna leave that alone. Let me move on to the world energy, just to be mindful of time. Any questions on that with the US though, as we get into the world things? Ooh, that energy is a lot. I can feel the fight. All right, so far we have the Four of Swords, Ace of Cups, Princess of Swords. All right, so first off, I'll get the rest of these cards out. Six of Swords. Four of Swords talks about peace. So there will be resolve to some sort of conflict that's happening right now. Obviously, I hope it's related to some type of, there are a lot of armed conflicts, whether active war or potential war or coups that are happening right now. So there definitely is peace that is coming for some of those situations. So I'm happy to see that. Ace of Cups is also telling me that this issue specifically around flooding is definitely going to be present. Flooding is going to be the thing for everybody this year. Different communities. So again, if you're live in a country, in a region on the planet that is either prone to flooding or infrastructure is not great where you are, if flooding were to occur, like definitely be proactive in protecting yourself. For sure. And then we have Temperance and Ace of Wands to round out the world energy. And then bottom of the deck is Queen of Swords. So the Princess of Swords, for the media communication thing, regulations will continue a lot more. It looks like stringency is going to be in place to combat cybercrime, cybersecurity stuff, access to information, privacy, all of that. Like that definitely will continue. It's obviously still new because we're in new territory collectively as it relates to technology and information and crypto and like all that kind of stuff. So, but it will continue. Like there's no backtracking on that. It will definitely continue. Those protective aspects, and some places are going to be more rigid about it. Other places are not. Now, land, real estate, housing markets, and the world in general is actually going to be nice and stable. There may actually be some restrictions on foreign investments or foreign acquisition if you're an individual of land. Properties for travel, like people who travel and things like that, will do well or continue to do well. Like that's fine, but in terms of like permanent stuff, I don't think that that's actually gonna be looked at as favorably moving forward. Or at least there'll be more hoops you have to jump through in order to for these local governments to determine why you want this property. Is it to actually live, or if you just want it for financial investment? Also, a lot of transformation happening culturally and in entertainment around the world. It's going to be very vibrant. Like media, entertainment, and culture is going to be front and center for everything. Like the energy is so strong. Temperance and oh, hey Sass, welcome, good to see you. Yeah, so much shifts happening. Also, lots of transformation with the Temperance card. Yeah, so that actually is happening worldwide, and I love to see it. And for the health industry, medical industry, they seem to be, there'll be a lot of progress there. This is feeling more so like places considered third world countries or developing. So essentially anything that's not like a Western country, they're actually going to have a lot of the improvements and benefits and growth in their medical industry. And over here in the US, things will be breaking down because they need to be shifted because they don't work for the people. So I hope this tower for us really means that we're going to have a serious conversation and implementation of universal healthcare. It'd be great if we had, universal basic income, but at least universal healthcare would be amazing. But lots of good innovation and progress being made for other countries in terms of the medical industry. Alrighty. Oh my goodness, so much. All right, so let me see about banks or the financial markets. Yeah, let me do one card for banks in the US, and then one card for global financial markets. Ace of Swords for the US. That's giving me positive vibes for banks for the US. Global markets. I know banking has definitely been shaky recently, especially the smaller banks. Yeah, Emperor. Eight of Cups at the bottom. Yeah, I mean, essentially, like those banks that are on the up and up, which overall, in general, is the bigger banks because they can't be as risky as the smaller banks. So, Ace of Swords talks about a lot of truth telling and all of that. But global markets with the Emperor is strong energy. So, things will be steady. It's interesting with these cars, even with all of the stuff that's been coming up, I'm not getting a sense here of a bottoming out, if you will. So if that's the case, then what that tells me is that a lot of the correcting, if you will, that has had to have happened, because it definitely had to happen, has happened or is like finishing, wrapping up. And so there will be a rebound. I don't see that happening overnight. Again, this is over the course of this next year, but yeah, this may really start to feel like that climb out of a 2008 experience we had. Yeah. Yeah. So this is, about the financial situation, but also just speaks in general to not letting other people's immaturity and recklessness the read. Not letting other people's immaturity and recklessness move you out of alignment from what you know you're supposed to be doing and how you're supposed to be showing up. So just because other folks may be being reckless with their money, with their business, maybe like, oh, let me pull like all of my millions of dollars out of this small bank. Without, considering the impact it's going to have on the local economy, because I don't give a fuck about anybody else except for myself. Right? It's just, we can do better, folks, right? So don't let mediocrity, because really that's what it is. Don't let mediocrity and the death culture of capitalism move you out of position, because that Ace of Swords is very much an indication of what is solid and what is true will stand the test of time, because it is upheld by the divine. So yeah. All right. Let me get closing guidance. I was going to get into like spirit messages, but this is too long and I'm hungry, so I need to go. If I get called to do a separate message, I'll let you know, but right now, no. Right now, no. So let's get closing guidance, please and thank you. Change the... So this will be a message as a blessing for our spirit and for our path ahead as we walk through our own life and through the life that arises in relationship to the world in which we live. Nine of Pentacles, and the Judgment card, bottom of the deck, is the Knight of Pentacles. So we are on a blessed path, Nine of Pentacles. Keep doing what you're doing, right? And this is also giving me Princess energy because it's a Venus card. Judgment is a reminder, a remembrance of your call. It's a remembrance of, a reminder of you've been here before. Maybe not like, literal exactly been here before, but similar in terms of being at an important juncture where the decisions that you make will either truly keep you on path with what you want and what you desire, or they will take you off your path depending on, again, the choices that you make. And so This may be related to themes and circumstances that popped up in your life 12 years ago. That was the last time Jupiter was in Taurus. So this would have been math. 12 years ago would be 21? No, 02. No, 12. Oh my gosh. 23 minus 12 is 11. Yes. So 2011. Thinking back to that time. Yep. I know what's happening in that time. Now that I thought about it, like, yep, I know what's happening. So yeah, like for me personally in a work context, I find that I need to shift, evolve, grow every 2 years because like it takes a little bit to get into a rhythm, and then once you're in that rhythm, it's like, okay, well, I'm get to a place of mastery, proficiency in that thing, and then I want to grow and evolve and have more, go for more, right? And so at the job that I was at the time, I was working for a high-end Australian makeup brand, Napoleon Curtis, still the best brand ever. They're still around, just not here in the US. But at that time, I remember being restless and wanting to shift and move up, and they weren't as established in terms of corporate hierarchy here in the US. So the opportunities for growth within the company were limited. However, there was an opportunity to expand a bit in what was there, and I definitely like pushed for that and got to do that, and that kept me engaged, and essentially staying with the company for another few years. But again, by the end of that second year, I was just like, I need to go because I've gone as far as I can go in this place, and took a risk and left. So yeah, that searching for like, okay, I value this, and I want more in this space. I want to stretch myself more. I want to grow more in this space. Let me see what's available here, so that I can, achieve more, make more money, et cetera. Right. So it wasn't so much about like necessarily I want to bounce in my case, but it was like, okay, for what's here, what's next and available in this place that will keep me here because I actually enjoy it. But I know I need more because I'm bored. And, so there's that. Now, I could have taken that boredom energy and focused on other things, right? Instead of wanting that to be focused on work and my job. But that was a choice that I made at that time. And nothing was right or wrong about that. But I recognized like, oh, I was like in the middle of my time at that company the first time around because I went back to them later on. But for the first half of working with them, like I was at that period of like, okay, I've been here for 2 years. I'm ready for more. I'm open to more with this place because it is a good place to work. I enjoy it. I'm good at it. What's next? So, I get to sit with that because I can look at that and see like, okay, is that showing up for me in my business now? Is there an opportunity for me to be focusing on something else instead of always focusing on business? Right. And this is the thing with Jupiter. You can do whatever. everything has validity to it. All of it can be beneficial. There's no right or wrong. It's really just a matter of what is it that you want, and are you willing to do what's required to get that thing that you want, and understand that it's not quick fix. It's going to take over time. So um, and and that's what I did at the time. Like I doubled down. I was definitely doing a lot more. Um, I was working a lot more because I was doing more teaching. I was one of their workshop trainers because I'm always going to be teaching and coaching in some context, even before I started doing this professionally, right? Or on my own, because I've always been doing it in some variety of ways. Um, but yeah, but like I had to get better at my craft. I had to, lean on the skills that I had of already having a teaching background in education space to teach folks the sales, like all of it still had to be there. So, I mean, that's not that it's that easy, but it is that simple. But the hard thing, like I said, is what is that going to be for you? What are you going to be 10 toes down for in all aspects of your life? Um, does a different decision need to be made or not? Because there can be a tendency to be like, okay, well, am I choosing to make this decision because I really want it, or because it's the safe choice to make because it's easy? Do I always want easy? Do I want something different? How much freedom of exploration do I want to give myself? Right? All of that comes into play, and nobody can answer that for you. Um, but what will help you with making a decision is what's going to be required, and how does this fit to supporting the long-term goals and visions that I have for myself? Does this actually help and support that? And that question may lead you to make an uncomfortable choice, whether that is doing something that you don't want to do or doing something that you are scared to do because it might be a little bit more risky. So interesting. I'm having similar conversations at my job right now and wondering what my next moves are. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, underneath that Knight of Pentacles is the Eight of Swords. It's making the decision. What do I value? What do I want? And so, what's important with Taurus in particular is it centers what I want, not because this is going to be more Libra, which is the other sign ruled by Venus. It's what I want versus what gets me affirmed by others, which is going to be Libra. Because Libra is about the relating. So it's going to center relating, relationships, and other before self. So its struggle, its job is always to work on centering self in things, because it can lose itself creating the beauty, creating the aesthetic, prioritizing quality relationships by accommodating and adapting, because it's like, oh, if I show up in this certain way, this is the response that I get. And so it either like boosts my ego, or I get a nice dopamine hit and I get addicted to that attention. I get addicted to those likes. I get addicted to, whatever, right? But that's not Taurus. Not really. Taurus is like, no, this is what I want. If I hang out with you, if I or care about your opinion, it's because like I hold you in very high esteem. Otherwise, I really could care less. So it's really self-centered. And so, that message that was coming through earlier around the wealth and finances is like, really considering, are the things that you want, the things that you're going after, primarily rooted in what you need and what actually cultivates what you want? Or is so much of it like, oh, I see other people doing this thing and I want to mimic what I think they're experiencing rather than actually tapping into if that even makes me happy, if that even gives me pleasure. Right? Okay, well, basically 2 hours later. Thank y'all for hanging with me. I do appreciate your donations for the time. The donation information is at the screen, going at the screen below. I appreciate that. Please, of course, like, comment, and share this video. When you do see it, go back and take notes. This is, again, guidance for the year ahead, so please definitely come back and reference this. I think that actually will be it in terms of channeling for a minute, because there's not any big stuff that's happening. It's just this past couple weeks has been so much, which is why I've been here doing the channelings and not as much business talk. But I do know that there will be a specialty channeling for the North Node transit into Aries, which will be happening in mid-July, which is birthday month for me. I'm a Cancer. That one will be an event channeling, so it will be a situation where you have to sign up. It will have a cost. I won't be doing a public channeling because it's going to cover a lot of things, but I definitely want to sit in the spirit energy in particular. But yeah, that won't be happening until July. So I don't expect I'm going to get called to the table for any astrological guidance. There may be other spiritual stuff, of course, that pops up, but for the most part, this will be it, I'm sure, for a little bit. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you're welcome. Yeah, but I think that's it. Yes, Cancer Gang, we out here. I'm really looking forward to the summer. I already feel that Aries energy because we had that eclipse in Aries, so I feel like we're already in the North Node transit, but we're not in tropical astrology. In Vedic astrology, we are, but yeah, it already feels like newness. And but I know the challenge for me is going to be dealing with this cardinal, this fire energy, and Jupiter and Taurus, and balancing those two, because again, I'm not a patient person. I like to move fast, and that North Node in the Aries is going to make me want to move fast. And Jupiter and Taurus is going to be like, so you will see your girl in some way, shape, or form, battling with that within herself over this next year for sure. Because it's just, again, the nature of my spirit and my personality. It's not that like anything is wrong. It's just, it's how we develop and mature in our spiritual walk, so that we don't sabotage what we're building and what we want, right? Because that's ultimately what it is. Like we have these considerations and we seek this guidance because we're like, yes, I want to have fun. Yes, I want all these things, but I also don't want to fuck up my own shit just because I'm, making a wild choice here or there. Like I really want to. I want to make good choices, not even so much for others, but really more so for myself, because I love myself. And yes, I care about y'all, but y'all are still secondary to how I feel about myself, right? So that's where that comes from. But I send love to me. I send love to you. Thank you so much for being with me. For those of you who have been with me for this full time, but I will jump off now. Thank you for your support, and God willing, because tomorrow's not promised, God willing, I will see you next time. Bye.